of the things that you've been able to achieve for your district, what was some of the things that really stand out that led to your last election win, or that people just say, "Hey, thank you, Commissioner," every time they see you, thank you so much for doing X, Y, and Z.
Well, of course, there's always the global. I call them the global issues. Like when I was on the school board, we were so proud that we had won the top urban school district in the country, and that was quite a lot of work and a big trip to New York City to be named it was the Broad Prize for urban education. And so you would talk about that and, the school building process in terms of the number of new schools. And, before the pandemic, we really got into technology when we were able to pass that sales tax. Then there was enough funding. Thankfully, the voters voted for it. And the tourists here, every child had a device. So when, the pandemic hit, most of those kids could still learn because all that work had gone on before. And so Mayor Demings, and so I'll talk about, the big projects because he has the 8,000 employees and I have 3. And I generally support his big ideas. They're excellent. And so one of the things that's meant a lot to me, that really was his project, was purchasing natural lands. And so I've been a big beneficiary of that up in the Wekiva area.
Yes.
And so I've got some stacks. They're not at the tip of my tongue here, but it's been a substantial number of acreage. And you'll see most of it over by the Econ and up by Wekiva that we've been able to build. And of course, thank you to the taxpayers who are putting that money in to be able to do that. Transportation and this Vision Zero program, I can't think of anything more important than safety.
Sure.
And that's probably the issue that people call me the most about is speeding.
Really?
They want speed bumps. Some don't want the sidewalks, but they do keep them safer.
Sure.
And so we just are constantly, they're calling countermeasures, looking at ways to make our streets safer. And we determined that my Pine Hills area is the section where we have the most serious fatalities. So I have a real strong people group over there, people of Clare Conacoe, and we've been working with Public Works to do a major upgrade of Clare Conacoe from flashing beacons to lighting to lane narrowing, they call them chicanes, to roundabouts. There's a whole menu of things. And then I have a bill in Tallahassee right now trying to get a couple of $1 million to fund some of that because roundabouts are not inexpensive.
That's true.
We're also piloting some raised crosswalks and different things. I'm blessed to have the Coast to Coast Trail going through that area.
Right.
And so I was really determined, you're going to come out of Winter Garden in Ocoee and then you're going to hit Clare Conacoe Road. And I said, this is not going to look like some blighted urban area. So we've been cleaning it up. The people follow me. In fact, that team won last year.
Congratulations.
My Excellent. Team came, they won the corner contest. And so we put up banners for them all up and down Clare Conacoe Road. We've cleaned up the entranceway to all the neighborhoods. And we've been entertaining our guests. We've got cyclists who travel all the way across the country going right through District 2. So, we want to be welcoming and we want to be safe.
Clare Conacoe Road is a difficult intersection there that we discussed. And there have been a lot of trouble with traffic and speeding and fatalities. And it's good to know that from my observation that there hasn't been anything of significance, a traffic accident or fatality for some time now. So your efforts, from my point of view, are paying off.
Well, we had a terrible one about 3 years ago, and it was a young boy who was 20, and he was going 90. He was heading east, and a grandma was driving the car with her 2 daughters and then the 3 grandchildren. He killed everyone but the grandmother. And it was just tragic. So we certainly did pavement markings, put the speed, registering the speed there. And eventually we were able to rush another traffic lights at Gaymar and Clare Conacoe. It's kind of a difficult area because you come out of that rural settlement and it's a 4-lane divided highway.
Yes.
And it feels too easy to drive 55 or 60, and you just can't be doing it when you have all these subdivisions merging out onto this road. And so Not everybody's happy with trying to slow them down. I can tell you that, but it certainly comes from a genuine concern to get them where they're going alive.
And the district efforts seem to be paying off also.
Well, I don't know. I think we're trying.
Right.
I was at Metroplan yesterday. I'll be the incoming chair, and we found out that our number of fatalities is actually going the wrong way.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all about speed.
Wow.
Speed kills. The faster you're going, and if you hit a pedestrian or cyclist, you're going to kill them. And so we just have to slow down.
Exactly.
Leave a little more time to get to work. Stay off our phones.
That's part of the issue.
Distraction.
Guilty. That's part of the issue.
So, and then the sheriff's office, they're short. They're short deputies, and what seems to end up not getting manned is these motorcycle speed enforcement teams.
Okay.
And so we haven't had enough enforcement. And so they talk about the 3 E's: enforcement, education, which we're doing right now,
right,
and then engineering. And the engineer would be the lane narrowing, taking out I call it the suicide lane, portions of the suicide lane. They'll put concrete separators or put trees in there.
Okay.
It's a psychological thing. If the road isn't, think if you're in the desert and all you see is this pavement and there's nothing but sand in the sun,
yes,
you're going to put the pedal to the
yes.
metal. But if you're going through a little windier road, it's a little narrower, there's a tree canopy, you tend to go slower. So planting trees is something people could do. Be careful, make sure you do a utility locate when you're planting trees. It can't be 15 feet. If it's a rural road, you can't be too close to the pavement for obvious reasons. But some of my people groups were doing a lot of tree planting as well. And of course, the tree planting will keep the people shaded, cooler in the summer, and our drivers and our pedestrians safer. So there's a lot of fun things we can do to make it safer.
Indeed. You're starting you're already into your second term. What major projects or ideas that your community has brought to you that they'd like to see before you move off this after this term?
Oh, I think about that every day with term limits.
Yes.
Some of these roads take 10, 15 years to get going or a project. So you really have to. Well, and we didn't talk about my septic to sewer was one of my biggest things. Like I started my first year and I live up in the Wekiva Springs area. And the state had told us back in 2005 we were going to have to phase out all of our septic systems because of the water quality and what was happening to the springs. And you're hearing about the yellow tides and problems really all over the whole state. And so I found this interesting as well. With a musical background, I was not into engineering and science as much, but all the water drains in these basins. And we really are the center of the state. It's so interesting. My part of the state, the county, northwest, everything drains to that northeast, right?
Okay.
And if you're down by Disney, things are draining to the southwest. You get Shingle Creek, it's draining straight south. And if you're on the east side, you're draining to the southeast. And I find this so fascinating. And so we really had a gun to our head from the state. They said you were going to have to go to a very expensive on-site system that had moving parts. You'd have to pay for management and maintenance and part replacement, and they could be $15,000 to $25,000 a piece all on your own. So I decided I was going to stand up in front of those screaming masses and let's go sewer. And we were able to get 90% grant funding, about $145 million. Mm-hmm. Now this week I haven't been all that excited because I'm getting beat up pretty good about sprinkler systems getting destroyed. And maybe I wasn't as patient because I know how hard it was to get the $140 million,
right,
talk them all into it, because this is democracy. They had to vote.
Yes. We
had to pass in these neighborhoods over 67% even to do the retrofits. And we were in the 90s in almost all the neighborhoods. But now we're down to the nitty gritty. My street's torn up. I don't have an end of my driveway. My sprinkler system is out. And I kind of go, it's okay. It's for a good purpose. We're trying to save my spring. It's a little inconvenience, but I got a few neighbors who don't feel that way. So they're testing my patience. But that's something I'm really proud of. And so by the time I leave, I'll have the whole Wekiva Springs area done. And but we better elect somebody who doesn't mind what I've had to do, which has been significant, heading down to Lockhart and Pine Hills, because most of Pine Hills, everything drains up through Lockhart and up through Wekiva.
Right.
Isn't that so interesting?
The dynamics are incredible.
I mean, I never thought about you pour a pail of water out in your backyard and it drains up, in my case, up to Jacksonville, out to the ocean. So anyway, county government is always interesting.
Well, a lot of this is fascinating for me because I really appreciate it. My granddaughter lives in Pine Hills, so in your district. So I'm excited to see what you guys are doing in District 2.
Maybe she needs to run because I need somebody to help them when I'm term limited out.
Well, I hope she gets there because she got to get out of middle school and into high school. But,
okay.
Look, I really do appreciate what you're doing, but